Just like there's a long list of liberal celebrities who swear they'll go if a Republican is elected, and no one ever does. Miley Cyrus once said, "I am moving if Trump is my president. I don't say things I don't mean." Here she is looking miserable, having to endure America at the Grammys last Sunday. I guess she flew back from Tajikistan. In 2016, Eddie Griffin said, "If Trump wins, I'm moving to Africa." Apparently very slowly, because in Trump's 4 years, he only got as far as Van Nuys. George Lopez once said that if Trump won, he won't have to worry about immigration. We'll all go back. George Lopez still here. In Russia, just referring to the war in Ukraine as a war can get you 15 years in the fabulous prisons made famous by some of the world's most famous novels. You think America's evil because we didn't nominate Margot Robbie for an Oscar? Just wait till you get thrown out the window of your very own dream house.
Bill Maher opened the segment with a scorching wake-up call aimed straight at Hollywood's darlings and grandstanding politicians. His message was blunt. They have no business lecturing the rest of America on how to fix the nation when they refuse to get their hands dirty. From Maher's perspective, it's all too convenient to sit in palatial mansions and gated estates, completely removed from the struggles of ordinary people, while shouting out demands for sweeping change. But here's the reality. No words mean nothing if you're not willing to sacrifice, invest, or dive directly into the grind of real solutions. Maher drove home the point that despite its flaws, America remains a strong, resilient nation worth defending. An empty outrage or flashy displays of activism won't move it forward. What this country truly needs, he argued, are people ready to take ownership, face challenges directly, and stop waiting for someone else to carry the weight.
I'm confused by this political message. Vote for me because I hate it here. Now, does America have big problems? Yes, I've often cited the America sucks list. Things like being 54th in the world in infant mortality behind Cuba, 19th in literacy behind Russia, 72nd in female representation in government behind Iraq. A lot of work to do here. And is it possible for a country to lose itself so much that leaving it is justified? Yes, but we're not there yet, not by a long shot, and we don't need quitters. We need people who will stay and fix it.
Bill Maher opened the segment with a scorching wake-up call aimed straight at Hollywood's darlings and grandstanding politicians. His message was blunt. They have no business lecturing the rest of America on how to fix the nation when they refuse to get their hands dirty. From Maher's perspective, it's all too convenient to sit in palatial mansions and gated estates, completely removed from the struggles of ordinary people, while shouting out demands for sweeping change. But here's the reality. Words mean nothing if you're not willing to sacrifice, invest, or dive directly into the grind of real solutions. Maher drove home the point that despite its flaws, America remains a strong, resilient nation worth defending. An empty outrage or flashy displays of activism won't move it forward. What this country truly needs, he argued, are people ready to take ownership, face challenges directly, and stop waiting for someone else to carry the weight.
Maybe the problem isn't that America isn't worth defending. Maybe the problem is that lots of people today are entitled whiners who have no perspective and no idea how good they have it. 59% of self-identified liberals say there have been times when they considered leaving America for good, like after NBC canceled The West Wing.
It may sound exaggerated, but Bill Maher insisted it's all too real. For years, Americans have loudly threatened to abandon their own country over the flimsiest reasons imaginable. The most notorious wave came when Donald Trump won the presidency, triggering a flood of celebrities and everyday voices promising to flee to Canada as if crossing the border counted as a bold act of rebellion. Yet almost none of them ever left, exposing those grand declarations as hollow performances rather than genuine conviction. And the theatrics didn't stop there. Some even vowed to leave simply because the nation didn't immediately embrace every fashionable new ideology, no matter how far it strayed from common sense. Instead of rolling up their sleeves to improve the country they call home, they fantasized about escape and dared to label it activism. Maher's argument cut deep. Patriotism isn't defined by empty threats or dramatic exit strategies. It's about standing your ground, confronting problems directly, and working to make America stronger every single single day.
I don't get it. You want so badly for every immigrant to come to this country and experience the good life, but somehow it's so terrible you want to leave? And I see conservatives in Texas are talking secession again. They have 2 bumper stickers in that state. America, love it or leave it, and we're leaving it.
Celebrities and politicians have perfected the art of doublespeak, and Bill Maher wasted no time tearing into their contradictions. On one hand, they shout endlessly about how America must throw its doors wide open, welcoming waves of newcomers under the banner of opportunity. Yet, in the very next moment, those same voices insist they're ashamed of this nation, swearing they'll run for the exits the second the political winds shift against them. The contradiction is glaring. If America is truly so dreadful, why encourage others to rush in? And if it really is the land of freedom and promise, why threaten to abandon it every election cycle? This isn't passion, principle, or even genuine debate. It's hypocrisy at its most blatant, a shallow brand of activism crafted to look righteous but collapsing under the weight of its own mixed messages. Maher drove the point home with precision. Their supposed convictions are nothing more than staged performances, built to protect their public image, rather than strengthen the country they pretend to champion.
Just like there's a long list of liberal celebrities who swear they'll go if a Republican is elected, and no one ever does. Miley Cyrus once said, "I am moving if Trump is my president. I don't say things I don't mean." Here she is looking miserable, having to endure America at the Grammys last Sunday.
And here's where the satire practically writes itself. For all their dramatic vows to leave, these celebrities are still right here in America, enjoying the very freedoms they loudly claim to despise. Deep down, they know the truth. No other nation grants them the same spotlight, the same privileges, or the same luxurious safety net that America does. And that's exactly why they never follow through. So why the grand exit speeches? Why the "I'm gone if Trump wins" declarations? The answer couldn't be clearer. It was never conviction, it was always optics. It's virtue signaling, pure theater, designed to ride the outrage wave and score applause. These exaggerated stunts make them appear daring to their fans. But once the cameras switch off, they remain planted, basking in the fame and fortune that only this country affords them. Bill Maher sliced straight through the charade, exposing that their threats weren't bold acts of resistance, but carefully staged performances. Politics as theater, not courage, and with loyalty reserved only for their own image.
I guess she flew back from Tajikistan. In 2016, Eddie Griffin said, "If Trump wins, I'm moving to Africa." Apparently very slowly, because in Trump's 4 years, he only got as far as Van Nuys. George Lopez once said that if Trump won, he won't have to worry about immigration. We'll all go back. George Lopez still here.
This is exactly why it's impossible to take celebrities seriously when they step onto their soapboxes and preach politics or morality to the rest of us. Their lives bear no resemblance to reality. They're insulated by millions, hidden behind gates, flying private, and secure in the knowledge that if America ever feels uncomfortable, they can vanish into a castle abroad without consequence. Meanwhile, ordinary Americans are the ones carrying the real weight. Mortgages that keep us awake at night, rent that swallows paychecks, groceries and gas that stretch every dollar, and the daily fight to keep families steady. For regular people, politics isn't a performance stage for virtue signaling. It's survival. It determines whether bills get paid and whether the future holds opportunity. That's why the public will always place more faith in leaders battling real policy wars than in celebrities whose greatest dilemma is choosing which luxury resort to grace with their presence. Their glossy lectures collapse under scrutiny because when reality bites, they'll never endure the hardships we face. And Bill Maher drove that point into the spotlight with brutal clarity.
Then there's all the TikToks telling Americans things like,
"It's fucked."
I think the new American dream is to leave.
I'm 18 years old and I escaped America.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to escape America. That wall we're always debating isn't to keep you in.
And this is where the absurdity becomes almost laughable. Some of these self-anointed social justice crusaders talk as if America is no different from North Korea, spinning a narrative so ridiculous it borders on parody. They rant as though citizens here are shackled, stripped of choices, and robbed of freedom, when the truth is the exact opposite. No one is lining up to immigrate to North Korea. No one dreams of raising a family, building a career, or chasing success in a place where liberty doesn't exist and escape can cost you your life. Meanwhile, the very nation these activists can't stop criticizing, the United States, remains the #1 destination for people worldwide seeking opportunity, security, and freedom. That's the crushing irony Bill Maher spotlighted. If America is truly as awful as they claim, why is the world still fighting to get in rather than out? Their overblown comparisons collapse instantly when stacked against reality, and Maher's words struck with surgical precision, exposing just how absurd those claims really are.
The New Republic just ran a story about the vulnerable minorities who want to flee America, including the author, a gay man trapped in the dystopian homophobic hellscape that is New York City. I wonder if he knows that there are 66 countries where just being gay is a crime. Cute story in the news last month. Burundi's president called on his citizens to stone gay people, and not in the good way. Wow, suddenly the don't say gay law doesn't sound all that bad.
When the conversation turned to the LGBTQ+ community, Bill Maher delivered a point too powerful to dismiss. America is their refuge, their strongest defense, and their most visible stage. There are few places on Earth where they enjoy the same level of protection, respect, and freedom as they do in the United States. From legal safeguards and political influence to cultural visibility and thriving communities, the LGBTQ+ population here holds rights and opportunities that remain unthinkable in much of the world. They can speak freely, live openly, and rely on laws that secure their existence, while in many countries such liberties are unimaginable, and in some, openly life-threatening. So why the constant threats of leaving? Where exactly do they believe they'll find greater freedom? Even in Europe, often praised as more progressive, discrimination, violence, and uneven policies still cast long shadows. The reality is undeniable. For all its flaws, America stands as one of the safest, strongest, and most empowering places for LGBTQ+ individuals. Maher's message cut deep. They already have the freedoms they seek, whether they choose to acknowledge it or not.
And Uganda? Oh, they don't just give you a ticket for parking in the rear. You can get the death penalty for it. In China, they have the death penalty for almost 50 crimes. And in 13 countries, atheism is punishable by death, and 61 impose restrictions on women's clothing, so bring a scarf. According to Amnesty International, paramilitary groups killed the government's critics in Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela, and arbitrary detentions are widespread in Cuba, Ecuador, El Salvador, Nicaragua. If you're wondering how that's just like no cash bail, it's not.
This is why people from every corner of the globe fight desperately for a chance to come to America. Because no matter the critics, this nation still stands as the symbol of freedom, opportunity, and the possibility of a better life. It's where you can speak your mind without fear of chains, carve your own path, chase your ambitions, and even achieve financial independence if you're willing to put in the work. That is the American promise. And it's why millions risk everything, leaving behind homes, families, and certainty just to step onto U.S. soil for a shot at that dream. Yet the irony is staggering. So many who already live here fail to recognize the privilege they hold. Instead, they gripe, they sneer, they trash the very country that provides them more than anywhere else ever could. It's like watching a spoiled heir scream over one missing gift under the Christmas tree, blind to the mountain of blessings already at their feet. Bill Maher drove the point home with a sharp edge. America isn't flawless, but it delivers more freedom, more opportunity, and more possibility than almost anywhere on Earth. Those who refuse to see it aren't uncovering truths. They're willfully ignoring reality.
In Russia, just referring to the war in Ukraine as a war can get you 15 years in the fabulous prisons made famous by some of the world's most famous novels. You think America's evil because we didn't nominate Margot Robbie for an Oscar? Just wait till you get thrown out the window of your very own dream house.
Bill Maher's demolition of the so-called woke mob cuts straight through the noise, exposing just how shallow and performative much of today's activism truly is. Those headline-grabbing protests, blocking roads, burning flags, or splashing paint on monuments might rack up clicks on social media, but they do nothing to solve the problems ordinary Americans face every day. Meanwhile, celebrities and politicians perched high in their ivory towers keep shouting about oppression while enjoying the freedoms, wealth, and platforms that only America provides. A hypocrisy Maher wasted no time tearing apart. Regular people don't have the luxury of theatrics. They're too busy paying bills, feeding their families, and commuting on the very roads activists block for attention. Maher drove home the reminder that real change doesn't come from hashtags, empty slogans, or clout-chasing stunts. It comes from sacrifice, conviction, and action that actually makes a difference. America, with all its flaws, is still the nation people around the world fight to enter, not escape. And that fact alone destroys the hollow narratives of those who claim otherwise while basking in every freedom this country offers. With that, Maher closed his fiery message. And if you found this breakdown eye-opening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because the conversation is far from over.